Welcome to the Awakening Women podcast. I'm your host, Leanne Oaten, and for almost a decade, I have been a transformation coach and therapist. This podcast is all about lifting the veil of consciousness and awakening to the truth. It is also about helping you to raise the bar in all areas of your life and relationships by starting with you. If you're ready to take back your personal power and reclaim your life, you have come to the right place. I'm so glad that you're here, so let's get started with today's episode. I want to talk about something real quick here, and this is the idea that we want to have a partner who is also doing the work. And this is something that I am definitely advocating for. You want someone who is willing to grow. But what I see with women is that they're trying to get their partner to grow, like go to counseling, go to therapy, read books, reflect on themselves, listen to podcasts, search on YouTube, and be just immersed in personal growth. And here's what I have to say about personal growth on both ends of the coin, which is theirs and yours. So number one, you can't force somebody to want to grow, and it's not really your place or our place to force somebody to grow. Everybody grows in their own way. The idea is that you want someone who's open and willing to learn, someone who's open and receptive to feedback, someone who's willing to adjust, and who is non-abusive. So when they behave in ways that hurt your feelings or that are insensitive or that you don't like, they are open to your feedback, they respect you, and they adjust because they don't want to hurt you, they love you, they care about you. That's really what I think we're looking for when we're talking about someone who is into growth. Not everybody is into reading all the books, listening to all the podcasts, immersing in audiobooks, taking all the courses. Some people, that's not their thing. And it's really, let's talk about narcissistic to assume that someone else should grow the way that we want. Now, for you to know what it is that you want in a future relationship, yes. What does that level of growth look like? Do you want them to be reading as many books as you? Do you want them to be geeking out on podcasts about relationships and trauma and self-growth and all of that? Do you want them to be in therapy? Like, is that a prerequisite? And even then, is that going to guarantee that they're going to be open to growth with you? We have to get really clear on what that looks like. I used to be someone that really thought, like, I want someone who's sitting in the corner reading books like I do, who's journaling, who's in therapy and all this. But I think what it really comes down to especially when I'm hearing women say they want someone who's open to growth, they're trying to get their partner to read books and listen to podcasts. It's not that they want someone necessarily that is doing exactly what they're doing, but they want someone who can understand the impact that they're having so that they can coerce them to change, so that we can control the situation. So you're sending all those podcasts, blogs, emails, different things, you're doing it because you want them to see the light. You want them to go, self-awareness. Yeah, I need to develop my self-awareness. Or, oh, right, yeah, my past trauma is really a problem here. I think I need to go get some help. Thanks for sending me that blog, babe. No. So you stay spinning in this for years and years and years, sending all the things, but nothing is changing because they're not interested in changing. So when we're talking about someone who is open to growth, it's someone who is open to change. Someone that is receptive to your feelings. Someone that can listen to your feelings. Someone that can support where you're at and take your feedback seriously or take your ideas or what's going on, and you work together as a team to find solutions. So when I hear women saying they want a partner that will grow with them, yes, you do, and you need to get clear, what does that look like? Now, the second piece, and this is something I realized, is I used to be obsessed with personal growth. Like, I see it now, as it was just a really good distraction for me to not have to look at and deal with and feel what was going on in my life. So I became really fixated and obsessed on so many books, reading, listening to books, so many podcasts, like you name it, courses, coaches, all of it. And in hindsight, I now see what I was doing. And so now that I'm in a healthier, happier place, while I'm still doing the work, I still have a coach when I need it. I still go see my therapist when I need it. I am still reading books. I listen to podcasts. I'm still someone who very much values growth and personal development. I am nowhere near as extreme as I was, let's say, just even a few years ago, where I was just obsessed with personal growth and figuring myself out, figuring out why I was so unhappy, not realizing what the root cause was, right? So when you're in one of these relationships, it really can become an addiction to constantly looking for all of these answers. But that's not really getting you where you need to go, is it? So checking in, like, is that working for you? You're spending hours and hours and hours and hours and hours poring over books and podcasts and all the Instagram posts and memes. But where are you at? Are you at somewhere any different than you were, 6 months ago since you've been doing this, or however many years it's been? So it's realizing that it's twofold. You are wanting your spouse to grow. You want him to be doing his own work so he doesn't hurt you. And that is ass backwards. So what you really want is someone who is non-abusive and who is willing to be a partner, who's willing to dig in and do the tough stuff and grow along with you and learn along with you, however that is, whether it's through conversations, whether it's through things that maybe they're learning in their own lives or what they've learned from their past. Like, is it someone that you can sit and talk to and connect with? And I know when you're in one of these relationships that is not happening, you're not able to sit and have any type of conversation because they're not interested in connection. They're not interested in quality time. And so what you're wanting is someone who is receptive, who's listening, who cares, who wants to spend time with you, who is not behaving abusively, who's telling the truth, who's being kind and helpful, part of a team. So I want you to really think about this whole thing and what it is that you would want. And obviously in this relationship, the chances of getting that, if you truly are dealing with abuse, that's not going to happen in this relationship. So you either have to accept that and stop doing what you're doing and do something different that is really going to actually move you out of the patterns. Or you have to start thinking more forward into like, well, what would I want in a future relationship? Like, start doing that now. It's even though you're in one, it's thinking about that so that what you're in starts to really just become clear. Like, why am I so drawn and hooked into staying in this, trying to get them to understand that they're abusive, trying to get them to see the light, trying to explain, to make them understand, send them another blog, send them another podcast. I just think that it can become its own addiction, and it is preventing you from really dealing with your own stuff first, which is what you really need to be focusing on. So those are my thoughts on that. It came up as I was reading through some of the feedback posts in my in the cycle course. I ask a lot of questions throughout the program to get ideas of where you all are at as you're going through the modules, and that came up a few times. Like, I want a partner that's doing the work, and I think that yes, you do, but what does that work look like, and what is it that you want to see them doing? Right? Because again, someone could go to therapy just like a narcissistic, abusive person. They can walk and go into a therapy office. That doesn't matter anything because they walk out of there and come home and keep doing the same shit. So get really clear what it is that you actually want, whether you're still in the relationship now. If you're not, start thinking about what would that partner look like. What you think you might want may not be what it is. So get really clear on like the feeling that you want. How do you want to feel? What kind of traits do you want them to have? What kind of dynamic do you want? Do you want to feel calm and safe and secure with them, right? A lot of times we get so used to this up and down, up and down, up and down, that when we meet someone that is not so up and down, creating all the chaos, it's unsettling because we're used to so much chaos and turmoil. So get really clear on what does that look like? If that's where you're at and you're realizing you have someone in your life that is not at all willing to do the work. There's someone that is not open to looking at their own stuff. And that takes some real self-honesty to be able to get to a place where you realize. And when you are in that place where you can realize that you are with someone that is just not open to doing their own work, they don't care about their own issues. They don't even want to look at them. It's just, they can't even fathom to deal with their own stuff. They'd rather point the finger at you and keep shifting the blame. You can see the work they need to do, but that doesn't matter. After, you're doing your own work for you, not for them. And you see how much work it is to work on you. It takes dedication. It takes putting some money into it. It takes investing. It takes showing up and getting coaching and being willing to look at yourself. It's looking at your own traumas and your own stuff that's gone on in your own life. You see how much inner motivation that takes. They don't have that to begin with. They're doing everything they can to avoid looking at that. And so you're wasting your time sending these blogs that you're like, oh, yes, this is perfect. Like, he'll read this and he'll understand, he'll get it, and he'll start, changing who he is at the core after 30, 40, whatever years, 50, 60 years. No, you are wasting your time and your energy by using that strategy that is not going to work. It keeps you stuck. And it keeps you mired in the nonsense because you're not using that energy to propel yourself forward. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of the Awakening Women podcast. If you love this show and it has served you and helped you on your journey, please take a moment right now and leave a rating and review in iTunes and Spotify. If you'd like more daily content, videos, and inspiration, come on over and join me at Awakening Women Support Official over on Instagram, where we can connect and you can continue your transformation and growth journey. And I'll see you online.